Hello and welcome to your last tutorial on MySQL. Today we'll just talk about some additional things that are needed for your MySQL education. And to start off, let's say we want to select login from our customers field. So we just put a login here, click on go. And if we look at the field that's brought up, so the login field, we see that our logins have just capital letters for the first letters. If we want to change this, what we do, we just put the uCase function of SQL and then we put login in brackets. Now if I click on go, we will get everything in capitals. And if we want to get lowercase letters, we do the same exact thing. However, we change the U to an L, so lowercase. Here we are. So to talk about another function of SQL, we can also write mid, and then we can write from 1 to 4. So this basically means that whatever is shown, it should be from the first letter to the fourth letter, as we see right here. We can just change around the numbers, so let's say instead of 1 we put 2, and that means it's from the front and the back. If let's say we want to see the exact time in our server, so what we do for that is right here, we just put the SQL now function like so, click on go, and here we have it. And also through limit, so we're gonna write limit, we can get it to show only once, and here we are. Now in products, let's go ahead and add in another column. So we add another column and let's put it after type. Go. And let's do this for weight. So let's put int as float. Here we are. Length values, let's put it to 20. And let's go ahead and click on save. And the numbers that we're going to add are actually going to be decimals. So let's say for the first one we're going to put 11.4, which is actually way too heavy, so let's just put it as 2.3. And then for printer, let's put it as 4.7. Pen, let's put it as 0.4, so in grams. And then this test can just be anything, let's say it's 13.7. Now with select, let's go ahead and add in, or just now with select, let's go ahead and find our weight field. And so here we are. Now let's say we want our database to sort of round it. What we do is we put the round function, so that is just round, and then we put weight in brackets. And then let's say it'll bring the product name, so we put a name right there. Now if we click on go, we get our product name, and then we get the weight, which is rounded. Now let's try to find out how many times each product has been bought. Let's click on SQL. So we're selecting the name from our products list, we're selecting the quantity from orders, and we're using left join, which we used in our last lesson. Now we're done, we just need to click on go, and yeah, the mistake here is that we need to put a P instead of the O. I don't know why I put a O. Now let's click on go, and here we are. And what we see is that there's notebook twice in this list, and we didn't need to know how many have been ordered, how many times they've been ordered. We just need to know how many times each product has been bought. So what we're gonna do first of all is we need to use count. Type in count and get your O, so orders quantity in brackets, and then after this whole thing we're going to write group by, and we need to group it by product name. So we'll just get it together instead of them repeating. And so here we are. Now we see how many sort of transactions have happened. To continue, let's say we don't want to show the products that have been bought, that haven't actually been bought more than twice. So in our code right here, we cannot use where. So let's talk about a new function for SQL, which is having. And then let's say we want to put this count qty right here, right after having, like so. And there's an extra space here, we don't need that. And we'll put it as bigger or equal to 2. So in this case, we'll get all of the products that have been bought twice. In our case, notebooks. Now, as we see in products, there are products with different price ranges. We can also show the most expensive thing that was bought. So that should be notebook also. And we can do it through having as well. So instead of all of the count OQTY, we put p dot price bigger than 20. So if we look here, printer and pen have prices lower than 20, and notebook and test have higher values than 20. Now if we go ahead and click on go, so one more time, we cannot put where anywhere here. This is because we're using group by, and for this to actually work, we need to put p price right here, as we're working with p price in our having clause. And here we have it. We have our notebook and our test, so the two more expensive products. And let's just continue with some PHP functions and features. So let's create a file in our htdocs, and we're going to call it index.php. It's going to be in the MySQL 10 folder. So for the time being, we're going to write this code right here. So first of all, if our p variable is empty, we're going to use the isSet function, which basically lets us know if it is empty or if there's something inside. And if nothing exists, anything in our curly braces will occur. In our case, our post p variable, which equals 0. And with this next if, we're checking if our post p equals 1. In that case, we're going to include from the includes folder pickupload.php. And for else, we're going to include from the includes folder formupload.php. So what we need to do now is we need to create this folder with both of these files. And here we are. And so here we are. Let's go ahead and open formupload. Both of them are empty as of now. So we're going to write form method, which equals post, and then we're going to use an attribute which we're not familiar with. It is enc type, which will equal multipart / form data. So when you make a post request, you have to encode the data that forms the body of the request in some way. So this is just a method of encoding. And let's also add an input tag as well. So we're going to make an input with the type hidden, and the name is going to be p, value is going to be 1. For our second one, we're going to put the type as file, and we'll get rid of this value right here, and its name will be just file, like so. And then we'll create a button, and if you remember, if we don't put a type for button, its default is actually just submit, so we don't have to write the type for button. And right here, this is what we have so far for our MySQL 10 index.php. This is going to be our structure so far. So what we can say is that this statement is false. The second if statement is also false, so instead of both of those working, we have else, which includes formupload.php. So now let's go ahead and also put some code in our pickupload.php. So right here we're going to write our name variable with our files, and then inside we're going to put the file and the name values, and then we're just going to echo name. So let's check this out. So let's try this out. Let's refresh. Let's choose some random file. Let's say we want this, and then we'll click on send. Let's try choosing something that's not a video, because that's just way too big. Let's say we want something like this. We click on send. So this error right here implies that there is something wrong with our code, obviously, and so we just need to have a quick look at our code. And yeah, right here basically we need to add in a equal sign, or else we'll just get this error and whatever we're trying to do won't work. So now let's save this, let's refresh, and as you see we now get the name of the file that was selected. So this basically means that our echo right here actually works perfectly fine. We can also check this through writing something like file name and then colon, and using concatenation like so, and let's save, refresh, and we see that our pickupload.php actually works. In our index.php we've put in that if through post we get our p, which equals 1, we should also have the value as 1 here as well, then we'll get the picture, which is our pickupload.php file and whatever we've put in. Besides this, we can also see where the file is temporarily placed. So for this we're going to get a new variable. We're going to name it tmp, which is going to equal the same thing as this. However, we're going to put a tmp right at the beginning with an underscore, just so we know that it's the temporary name or placement. Now through echo, let's also show where it is. Let's add a br first of all. We need our concatenation dots, and then we'll put let's put destination, because I can't think of another word. Destination, and then we're gonna put our tmp. Now let's save, refresh, and we also have our destination. So this file that we selected, which is song4.txt, is in our xampp1 tmp php4fee.tmp file folder. So what we can do is that instead of having it in a temporary destination in some random files, let's say we want to put it with our files in the same folder. So we're going to make a files folder with our MySQL 10 files and includes folder, and later on we'll put this file in that folder. This needs to be file 1. I don't know why the 1 was there. And now let's save, refresh, and here we are. We now have our file type, which is text/plain. So here's the code. We basically also echoed the type with file type, and here we have our result. Now if we were to choose a very different file, let's say we were to choose an image, and if we click on send, we're going to get image/png. So it is actually according to whatever file we choose. So instead of putting destination or anything here, we put it size. We change the variable as well. Now let's save, refresh. Here we are. We have the size of our image right here, and this is in bytes. If we want to get our image size displayed in kilobyte, what we do is we basically type in our size variable, and we also put in a size variable here with a slash, and we're going to put 1024, and here we are. So we're basically dividing by 1024. We can also round the numbers through round function. So we basically put parentheses here or brackets, and we write a round, which is the function right here. Now we save, refresh, and here we are, it rounded up to 183. And let's say we were to get a smaller image, so let's say something like this. We see the size is 8 in this case, 8 kilobytes, which is really small. Now let's go ahead and add in sort of the address where we want the file to be, which is the folder that we made, which is called files in the MySQL 10 folder. So we're going to make a dst variable in which is going to be our files folder with, let's say, a k1.jpg image. And then let's also go ahead and add in the php move uploaded file function, in which we're going to put our temporary variable, or let's call it file. So that is tmp, which will sort of, let's say, transfer to our dest variable. Now let's try and save, refresh. Nothing visible here. However, if we look carefully in our files, we're going to have this k1.jpg picture, which, if we look at it, the size of it is actually 7.85. However, as we rounded it, we get an 8 right here. So our move uploaded file has worked fine. Now what we need is not to have every single file turn into a JPEG file. We need them to stay in the same format that they came in, basically. So if we look carefully, if I select txt file, let me find a txt file, which is really hard. So yeah, here we are. If I click on send, this will turn into our k1.jpg. So as we saw, this was just a text file, it's not an image. However, it turns it into a JPEG file. To fix this, we're going to get a test variable, and we're going to use the explode function, in which we're going to keep, let me put quotation marks, so in which we're going to keep a dot, comma, so this will basically keep its format. And basically after this, we're going to put our file name, which is just name, as we see right here. Now if we echo test with the, which is already an array of 0, we'll see that we will get, forgot the semicolon right here. Now let's actually save, refresh, and we have an error here. This should be explode. Now let's try this. Alright, so here we are, we get our file name right here. So what we've done is we've basically showed right here that the file sort of name should be broken into pieces with the dots. I don't know if that made sense, but basically what we've done is we've kept the format. So if here I was to put 1, we'll get the second part. Let's see this. So if we write 1, we get plain text right here. To pick the ending part, let's go ahead and create a variable. Let's call it extension. We're going to write the end function like so, and we'll just echo our extension variable. Now if I save, refresh, nothing's going to change as we had already selected the first array. And so now we're still gonna get text plain txt. So let's just cut this out of here, paste it here. Let's also bring our test to right here, just before echo. So instead of writing k1.jpg right here, let's go ahead and type in RAND, which is 0 to 1000, Then we're going to add another rand from 0 to 1000 again. We're going to put a dot here just to join it with concatenation. Now we're going to continue these random numbers, and we're going to add a MD5 right here. We're going to close it right here. MD5, by the way, not ND5. And now through concatenation at the end, we're going to add the file type, just like so. So we're adding the extension. Now let's save, refresh, and right here we're going to see that with our MD5 we're going to get our, what is this, ss1config.txt right here, and our K1 image, which we made earlier on. So we actually got to our end goal. We wanted to make it into a TXT, so with its same exact format and not turned into a JPEG, and we did that with our MD5. And that was all that I had prepared for today's lesson. Thank you so much for watching.